Another day, another banger. Today we'll be going over one of the best action-packed secret spy franchises. It is none other than Johnny English and will include all three movies starting from Johnny English. We'll move to Johnny English Reborn and finish off the trilogy with Johnny English Strikes Again. Without further ado, make sure you're ready for some frickin' hilarious scenes, and as always, stay awesome and take care. Johnny English opens up with our boy attempting to break into a castle. After neutralizing the guard dogs, he ropes himself inside and is held at gunpoint. Utilizing his wits to take out the assailants, he heads upstairs and into a bedroom to retrieve the item he's looking for, only to be met by an exotic woman.
I've been so looking forward to this moment.
I'll try not to disappoint.
You overestimate your power over women.
Managing to seduce the temptress, Johnny is startled awake from his fantasy by Boff. Wanting the mission documents, Agent 1 enters and has an aura about him.
Here for my documents.
Agent 1's documents, please. Your mission documents, Agent 1.
Thank you.
Cheerio, Agent 1.
Soon after, it was reported that Agent 1 was killed in action as the submarine hatch failed to open, something that Johnny had double-checked himself. With all of the MI7 agents gathered in one place, the casket is unloaded and then disaster strikes.
Everything in order, English?
Secure location in the whole of England.
Soon after, the Prime Minister tells Pegasus that Agent 1 was onto something and he wants an agent on it, but problematically, all agents died and only one survived. None other than Johnny fricking English, a super spy that had the mind of Sherlock Holmes and the wits of Tyrion Lannister. Receiving his weapons, our boy walks around like he owns the world and gets lost going to his meeting. Going around and around, he eventually finds Pegasus' office. Losing some aura farming points to try and impress the secretary, he is handed his new ID and his level 9 security clearance.
Oh, reminds me of the old service issue ballpoint. Click it twice.
English. There you are. Have you seen my secretary?
She went out.
Shall we?
Johnny English is told that Agent 1 believed there was a plot to steal the crown jewels. Recently gone through a multi-million-dollar restoration, they are to be unveiled tonight. As medics attend to the secretary, Johnny keeps Pegasus talking about the sponsor, who is a multi-billion-dollar man named Pascal Sauvage. Apparently one of the greatest allies of England, Johnny promises a successful mission and leaves. That night at the Tower of London, our boy rocks up in style and is greeted by Sir Anthony Chevenix, head of royal security. A certain person then catches Johnny's eyes and he greets the woman, who introduces herself as Lorna Campbell. The woman claims to have helped in the jewels restoration, and the scene cuts to Pascal Sauvage arriving on the floor. Johnny in the meantime tries being nonchalant, which kind of works.
Some women find danger very attractive.
Women like you, Miss Campbell?
Expect men like you to find that out for yourself.
Johnny, the dud, takes Pascal's drink from his hand and believes him to be a waiter. Throwing insults at the French, Lorna introduces herself to Pascal, who already seems to know about English. While all this takes place, someone breaks into the control room and Sauvage begins his speech. Thanking everyone and doing the most cliché speech, the power goes out and the jewels lock. Johnny spots the assailant and knocks him out while Lorna escapes. Seems Johnny accidentally knocked out an ally and goes into the room next door to have a fake fight with himself to make the guests believe the assailant knocked out Sir Anthony Chevenix. Playing the ruse for quite some time, Boff watches in dismay, and Johnny finishes off his class act by using some tomato sauce and reassuring the guests the situation has been handled. Receiving an applause, English unlocks the lock on the gallery to discover the jewels have all been stolen. The Queen simultaneously arrives and the scene cuts to the next day, where the secretary eyes Johnny out. Pegasus then introduces Roger from data support and wants to produce a likeness of the man that Johnny had fought last night and escaped. Saying whatever comes to mind, Johnny manages to produce the most grotesque image.
Well, it's just as if he's in the room with us.
Hopping into his Aston Martin, English and Boff arrive at the crime scene and park in a no-parking zone.
Now, the question that faces us this morning: how did the thieves gain access to this highly secure environment?
Actually, sir.
Please, Bob. My mind is at work. Bob, through the got you, sir.
Can you see the bottom yet, Bob?
Trust me, Bob. You won't get stuck.
Stay there. I'm coming down.
There's no way back up there, that's for sure. It may be pitch black, but we can still see.
The Bedouin monks of the Al Maghreb Mountains developed a system of sonic chanting.
E flat, gonna flat, E flat. Oi there. Ow!
You all right, sir?
After some walking, the duo discover an exit and begin climbing the ladder to escape. However, they spot two men carrying the jewels and Johnny introduces himself. He then stupidly releases his clip and the goons fire at the duo, tossing a smoke grenade. The bandits escape, and English gives chase, with Lorna also arriving in a bike behind them. With Boff and English going to get their car for the chase, it would seem the Aston Martin is being towed away, and English just decides to hijack the truck. He eventually uses his detective skills to find and pursue the thieves. Johnny tells Boff to take the wheel and he climbs to the back and jumps into his car. Boff then uses the controls to move the Aston Martin out and English cops a speeding ticket. Doing something we all wish we could do, he destroys the camera with a missile, and the chase continues. Getting stuck at red lights, Lorna flies past them, and Johnny is dropped to the ground, or so he thinks. He accidentally lands on a car trailer and reverses out of there in style. Punching the DB7 Vantage, he finds the thieves at a graveyard and gets out of his car.
But Geoffrey overcame these terrible disabilities.
Very good. Really. And you are all under arrest. You, the grieving granny, you're very convincing. Why don't we take a look inside? Nailed it down. You're the hearse driver?
Yes, sir.
You're the hearse driver.
Yes, sir.
There you are! Afraid Gunter here wasn't supposed to be released until 2028. If you'll excuse me with the deepest respect. Oh, in the van! Mind the nice dead people. There we go.
You can stop now.
For appearance's sake, I'll just hold your arms up.
Meanwhile, we discover the man behind the robbery is none other than Sauvage. He claims that 200 years ago his family was supposed to inherit the crown jewels. He also plans to use the face of the Archbishop of Canterbury to make him the King of England. Another secret is then revealed, and it is the worst one yet. He bugged Johnny's house and discovers our man is quite a simple one. Back at headquarters, English and Pegasus are told that the two thieves were released from prison 6 months ago. Johnny then tells his superior that he believes Sauvage is the mastermind behind all this, but Pegasus isn't happy to hear it and discards even the thought of that possibility. Once the duo leave the room, Johnny requests chopper support, parachutes, and a couple of weird gadgets as he plans to break into Sauvage's headquarters. Out of nowhere, the two agents are attacked and a shootout ensues. English makes a fool of himself once again and begins trying to relay instructions to Boff, who somehow understands him. As they search the nearby premises, Boff manages to find the thug and tells Johnny,
Got him. Like a coiled viper.
So what you're saying, sir, is there must have been 2 of them?
Possibly 4.
I wonder why I didn't see them.
You must learn from them and move on.
Yes, sir.
Once the two finish their little chat, English spots the same bike that was flying during the car chase from earlier. Discovering it was Lorna driving the bike, Johnny tries using that nonchalant riz again but has no idea how to use chopsticks to eat the sushi. Getting back to the moment at hand, Lorna distracts English by feeding him and excuses herself. Johnny once again makes a mess of things when his tie is caught up in the machine in front of him, allowing Lorna to leave without difficulty. Once night hits, English and Boff fly towards Sauvage's estate and come up with a brilliant and dangerous plan to infiltrate the building. With Johnny not really giving the plan too much thought, Boff hands him a laser beacon that'll guide him to Sauvage's building. Rejecting the tool, the mission is a go, and Boff jumps and directs himself straight to the top of the building and begins his descent. He safely arrives at the intended floor and breaks his way in. Johnny then jumps from the plane and also safely lands on the building. Waiting for Boff to disable the security on the 14th floor, the alarms are disabled and English makes his way inside the building. Taking out his gun and looking around, he goes through the empty corridors and finds a neurology section. Informing Boff there is something fishy going on, he spots a doctor leaving a room.
My God, what have they done to you?
They've taken some of my blood. It's only for tests.
Of course it is.
Finding the doctor from earlier and holding his gun at him, 2 nurses arrive and are also held at gunpoint. Johnny then walks them into another room full of patients and demands to know where Sauvage is. They all simultaneously show him he's in the wrong building, and Boff realizes it also. Making up some garbage and leaving as soon as possible, Boff links up with English and they begin climbing the stairwell of the correct building. Soon enough they discover Sauvage and take out a thug who spots them. Looking into the room Sauvage entered, they realize that the doctors there have recreated the face of the Archbishop of Canterbury and see he has a tattoo just above his butt. Entering the now vacant lab, they look around for clues and accidentally play a CD. Sauvage's voice then tells his audience that he plans on using the Queen's enormous power by stealing the crown for himself. With security checking the lab, the duo hold the man at gunpoint and Johnny injects the man with truth serum.
It would be funny if it wasn't so public.
What?
He's talking gibberish, sir.
Yes, I can hear that, Boff.
We'll give him the guard outside the truth serum and give him Klein the muscle relaxant.
Don't be ridiculous, Boff. Go. Flight.
I'm not quite getting that second word, sir.
Flight.
Out of nowhere, more men arrive on the scene and Lorna has to save their asses. She explains she is a special agent from Interpol and explains that all of Sauvage's prisoners that were released immediately began working for him. The guard from earlier who was accidentally injected with the truth serum blurts out how to escape without detection before being knocked out. On their way out, Boff tells Johnny that he can't see Pegasus on the lower levels as he can barely speak, but Johnny doesn't listen. Attending the party, Johnny's lack of control embarrasses himself until Lorna saves him. Dancing with Johnny, Sauvage notices them and is notified of their break-in. Boff approaches Pegasus to explain the situation, but Sauvage interrupts. He tells Pegasus that Johnny and his crew have broken into his office and assaulted his staff. English is immediately pulled to the side and told off. Without giving Johnny a moment to speak, his security clearance is revoked, and he is taken off the case. Johnny is gutted as all that he has aspired to be was taken away in 1 minute. As he leaves the building in disgrace, rain comes gushing from the sky. Johnny Aura farms and walks through it while Lorna has a look at him. Sauvage in the meantime tells his crew that they must move to Plan B. His team quickly burn the mask that they created, and a hit team arrives at the Queen's estate, forcing the woman at gunpoint to sign her power and rights away. By signing the paper, she renounces her throne for herself and all of her descendants, and she refuses until her doggy gets into the crossfire. Within a couple minutes, the Prime Minister is called and told the Queen has relinquished her position. In the morning, Sauvage is brought in by the Prime Minister and told the Queen has lost her claim to the throne. His staff have looked around for the last 10 hours and discovered that Sauvage has the next rite of passage. The jewels are then returned to a local police station by Sauvage, and moving back to our moody Johnny English, Lorna pays him a visit. She explains that Sauvage is preparing to meet with the 13 biggest criminal masterminds of the world and they need to stop him. Johnny, however, has lost all motivation and refuses to help. But Lorna is quite persistent, and me personally, I'm going to follow her wherever she goes. Johnny also agrees with me, and the two ride off in the Aston Martin to the castle where Sauvage is soon to have his meeting. Seeing Johnny so invigorated by his need to help his people, Lorna gets attracted and confesses that since she's met him, she's had this animal inside her awaken. She begins saying that she wants to do things to him that she's only imagined. Johnny has no idea how to act and begins talking about cheese, but this just makes Lorna fall for him even more. Once night hits, the two take a boat to the castle and find an entry point. Johnny offers to go first to see if it's safe and tells Lorna to wait for him. While waiting, she discovers a ladder just as Johnny begins his ascent. Problematically, he has no idea of the suffering he is about to endure. Once he comes out of the toilet seat, Lorna also makes her way upstairs. The two reunite, and Lorna forces Johnny to take a shower. Sauvage in the meantime talks with the world's criminal masterminds and tells them that he will empty all his prisons around the world and set them free in England, making it the largest prison in history. With the two agents watching the entire thing go down, Sauvage concludes by telling the men that he will sell 49% of this venture to one man in the room.
So that's his little game.
Once the two go to execute their plan, Sauvage sarcastically mocks Johnny, who quietly places the CD in his pocket. Men then arrive on the scene and the two agents are held at gunpoint.
Really, you're very entertaining.
The next beautiful morning, everyone prepares for the new king to be pronounced, and the two agents, now locked up, need a way to escape.
Are you familiar with the shaman throat warbler?
I can't hear anything.
I'm into ultrasonic.
The only thing that can save us now is a miracle.
The miracle is none other than Boff, who quickly sets the two free. Frapping it through the streets, Johnny reveals he stole the CD with the evidence and has a plan. At the ceremony, the people around the world watch as the next king walks to claim his throne, with Sauvage having a smug smirk on his face. Johnny arrives at the scene and steals some clothing. The Archbishop of Canterbury begins the proceedings and asks the chosen bishops of England, Scotland, and Wales if they accept.
I do. I do.
I do not!
The crowd erupts and the cameras face him. Johnny is then allowed to speak his mind, and he claims Sauvage was behind everything. One of his goons, however, has Johnny in his sights and is saved by Lorna once again. English then claims that the Archbishop of Canterbury is also a fake. He demands that the imposter move the fake mask and attempts to remove the mask, but to no avail. Lorna eventually knocks out the thug and takes a hold of his rifle. English, attempting to prove his point, remembers the tattoo on the fraudster's ass, and then stupidly removes the man's clothes to the world, only for there to be no tattoos. Johnny is made the laughingstock of the world, but still has one more trick up his sleeve. Boff forces the media at gunpoint to play Sauvage's plan to the world, but we get one more embarrassment. It's the camera that was watching Johnny in his own bathroom singing to himself. Using this as a distraction, English runs away and Sauvage tells the Archbishop to finish the proceedings. Johnny knows he is seconds away from making England a prison to every prisoner in the world. And so, as Sauvage is given the royal artifacts, the Archbishop goes to place the crown, only for our boy to come swooping in and steal it. Sauvage erupts and demands his crown and even takes out a gun and tells the crowd to remain seated. He begins firing shots at Johnny, who drops the crown. The Archbishop is told to hurry up, and just as he's about to place the crown, English accidentally lands on the throne and is proclaimed king. Now having the power all to himself, the world watches in silence and cannot believe what the hell they are seeing. English tells the guards to arrest Sauvage and lock him up, making the crowd cheer in response. With that, Johnny takes his time admiring this power, and Lorna pretty much tells him she's going to make him happy after. The Queen, receiving her crown once again, thanks English on behalf of everyone. In return for his service, Johnny is awarded his position in MI7 knighthood, as well as a new public holiday in his name.
Her Majesty did seem very grateful.
She's not the only one.
When they merely shooting his load.
"5 years ago, he was our top agent. Does it have to be him?
He's the only one our contact will talk to.
Johnny English Reborn opens up in the mountains of Tibet, where the master explains that in order to remove a life full of shame, he must tread an even harder life. With the purpose there to strengthen what is weak, the master teaches Johnny the meaning of pure hardship. Whether that's walking on hot coals or training parts of the body, Johnny must use his wisdom in old age to progress and make his mind the master of his body.
I'm in touch with a higher power. MI7 wants you on the first flight.
Am I ready?
No.
Arriving at MI7's London headquarters, now sponsored by Toshiba, Johnny is quite confused at the situation and is told Pegasus is expecting him. Upstairs, Pamela introduces herself as the new head of MI7. It would appear that Johnny's flashy style of guns and cars are old-fashioned and are on their way out. While she speaks, English manages to fling her cat out the window and to its final destination. Johnny then acts as if he's holding the cat, and Pamela is impressed by his finesse with animals until Kate steps in with the cat. Introducing herself and her job as a behavioral psychologist, she is happy to see such an amazing specimen as English. Pamela then pauses and tells 007 that an ex-CIA agent has contacted them from Hong Kong with intelligence of an assassination attempt on the Chinese premier at a talk next week.
Count me in.
Johnny then links up with his old friend Simon Ambrose. Being a young and good-looking man, he takes Johnny to the toy cupboard, a place of quite interesting creations being made. There, Johnny is introduced to Quartermain, who tells him don't touch anything. Johnny is shown the Rolls-Royce Phantom with custom voice activation only activated by Johnny. Using an experimental engine, a 9-liter V16, English is getting quite excited. Being handed a few gadgets for his flight tonight to Hong Kong, Pegasus arrives and says dialogue is the best weapon. She should keep her mouth shut more often if she really believes that. But anyways, Johnny will be escorted by Agent Tucker. With this movie making sure to give us a Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan vibe, Johnny accidentally eats a voice-changing travel lozenge.
You made a laughingstock out of this service once. Crystal clear, Pegasus.
Anyone seen the voice-changing travel lozenges?
No.
That night, Johnny and Tucker arrive at Hong Kong. While walking into a casino, an old woman eyes them out. Johnny exchanges 10,000 into chips and tells his associate they are on the lookout for a Chinese man in spectacles. Finding 2 Chinese men wearing spectacles, Johnny joins their table and gives a man a wink, which makes him confused until the other man speaks.
Your grandmother is sick.
Well, she's dead. That's how sick she is.
Not understanding the message, an assassin approaches from behind and kills the Chinese man. Johnny inspects the corpse and finds a location which he heads to immediately. Arriving at the correct apartment, the ex-CIA agent opens the door. He quickly reveals that a group called Vortex is plotting to kill the Chinese premier. As they have this conversation, the old granny from earlier sets up a sniper rifle nearby. The agent then shows Johnny one of 3 keys that can access Vortex's secret weapon. Saying he is an assassin and one of the members, without the keys, Vortex can do no harm. The killer cleaner then finds her target in her scopes and kills the ex-CIA agent. Johnny and Tucker attempt to find the assassin but only find an old woman cleaning. As Johnny helps her out, he notices the bullet in her vacuum and is sprayed in his face. He then notices another assassin stealing the key and chases after him. The man proves to be quite the athlete and very agile. English follows him to the rooftop and the chase continues. Remembering his old teacher's saying that with age comes wisdom, Johnny doesn't jump a fence or use any means of youth. While the assassin proves his athletic abilities once again, Johnny shows that wits are more worthwhile. Eventually, he holds the man at gunpoint and gets distracted by the key, allowing the assassin to begin his descent to the ground. Johnny uses the elevator instead and catches up to the thief. They end up making their way to the water where the culprit already has a boat. English then finds some Brits and tells them he is commandeering the boat in the name of the Queen. They agree, and now the assassin is going up against a boat 20 times its size. With everyone being amused by Johnny and his mission, they begin to flirt with him, but he pushes them aside and uses a camera that launches a small missile and deflates the enemy's boat. The two then come face to face once again, and with the spectators watching, they get into a fight. Johnny shows his superiority in combat but is problematically met by 3 other assassins showing what he's made of. Our boy fights them all and manages to reduce their numbers to 1 assassin standing. Tucker then decides to join the fight as well.
Put up!
The assassin begins showing off his moves and showboating, allowing Johnny to use his wits to stop the assassin and take the key. Immediately booking a flight back to London, the stewardess catches Johnny's eye.
Work hard, play hard. Barbara.
Problematically, another stewardess is taken out just as English examines his key. He then tells Tucker he believed for years the incident that occurred in Mozambique was his fault, but he was given the truth by the ex-CIA agent. Johnny then remembers how an absolute stud distracted him and got a high official assassinated.
Can I store that overhead for you?
Sir, I don't think he's a Susan.
It's Shushan. Thank you. Shushan.
I hope you've got something for us, English.
There is a plot to kill the Chinese premier. The danger, however, has been averted. This.
English?
Now I know what you're going to say. The mighty Vortex has been slain by my possession.
Susan.
It was indeed Shushan who stole the key and hands it off to Slater, who tells the killer cleaner she has a job to finish. Back with Johnny, Pamela's daughter enters with her friends and is ready for her birthday party. As they all get up to attend, English is disappointed with himself and sees the same vacuum that the killer cleaner uses. Believing it to be her, Johnny neutralizes the assailant and drags her to Pamela and the team. Pamela screams at him to let go of her mother, and Johnny never disappoints us in his stupidity. Kate also watches him closely and is mesmerized by Johnny's lack of common sense.
I am truly, truly sorry.
Apologise to her.
I cannot apologize enough. It was a simple case of mistaken identity.
It's her! No, it's not her, sir.
It is! Make way! I've got it this time, Pegasus! Want any more, you old hag? Pegasus, we have another lead. Vortex was in Mozambique.
Some while later, Kate approaches Johnny and believes that Vortex was in Mozambique, needing a way to remember what happened that day. Kate uses one of the most advanced cameras in the world which detects microfacial expressions. Kate then clicks her finger and uses hypnosis to take English back to Mozambique. There, Johnny remembers the new president's inauguration day. However, as the president gives the speech, a weapon pulls English to the side and wants to treat our agent to a good time. Instead of watching the president, Johnny jumps into the spa with the temptress and the president was assassinated. Kate then takes him back a bit and wants him to remember the 3 members of Vortex that were there. English remembers the face, and MI7 know the man as Karlenko. He is a KGB agent who had gone rogue and betrayed them. Currently in a golf competition, Tucker reorganizes the match and makes Johnny his opponent for the day. Karlenko then arrives by helicopter at the destined location and the 2 opponents greet each other. Johnny accidentally activates the Rolls-Royce which creeps behind him until he shouts stop, which makes Karlenko suspicious as hell. With that, the match begins and Johnny uses his total concentration to hit the ball and fling the club for Tucker to catch. As the 2 continue their match, Johnny indirectly accuses Karlenko of being a part of Vortex. With the killer cleaner also arriving on site, Karlenko tells his henchman to kill English. Weirdly enough, the cleaner kills the thug then proceeds to shoot Karlenko. Leaving the scene, the duo approach the injured man and take him to his chopper to save his life. Johnny goes to pilot the chopper, and you couldn't pay me enough to let that man be my pilot. Flying like a hooligan, the killer cleaner pulls out a frickin' artillery cannon and fires away at the chopper. Needing to take the dying man to a hospital, Johnny flies the chopper low to the ground and follows the cars. Both Tucker and Johnny then begin singing out loud to keep Karlenko awake. English then parks the chopper atop an ambulance and arrives at the hospital. However, Karlenko is only seconds away from death and gives Johnny the key. He tells him that Vortex is CIA, KGB, as well as MI7.
A vole in MI7.
A mole, sir. There's a mole in MI7.
Well, I disagree. There's certainly a vole. What you're saying is there might be a mole as well.
There's a meeting at MI7 with the Prime Minister.
Good evening, gentlemen. So, when's the Prime Minister going to grace us with his presence?
I'm the Prime Minister.
Yeah, you wish.
The Prime Minister states that they need this meeting with China to go well, as worksites in Southeast Asia have begun to develop nuclear weapons. He also believes that Zhang Ping can help defuse the situation. Needing to protect him, the Swiss have offered their fortress as a meeting ground. Johnny then tells the room that the 3rd member of Vortex ordered the hit on the other 2. Johnny and Simon then link up after the meeting, and English tells him they have a mole in their midst. Simon then pulls a gun out underneath the table but pulls it back when Johnny asks for his help instead of accusing him. Tucker messages Johnny and tells him to come to the bathroom. There, Tucker claims that Simon is the traitor, and Simon simultaneously walks into the bathroom only for Tucker to stop him. He pulls out Karlenko's phone and shows a photo of the 2 men together in Mozambique. A random then comes into the bathroom and all 3 men act like they're doing something once the stranger leaves. Tucker continues his accusations and Simon explains that he was in Mozambique because of Quartermain. He is working undercover in MI7 and reports directly to the Prime Minister. Johnny finds it cool that there is a secret organization within the secret organization named Armitage.
Pile of old baloney. Now go home. You're the one talking baloney.
He's lying. But
Now get out!
After that, Johnny genuinely believes that Quartermain is the culprit behind everything. He even hands the key to Simon so that they can bring the supposed traitor in. Once English leaves, Simon and his crew gather and merge the 3 keys together. Pegasus is then called and told the mole is none other than Johnny English. Some while later at church, Johnny approaches Quartermain, who tells him it's the end of the line.
It's the end of the line.
I know, are the 3rd man.
No, Johnny. You are.
Stand by all agents.
and it all ends here.
The agents there waiting for him shoot to kill, and Johnny barely manages to find some cover. He is shot in the leg, however, and the agents search the perimeter for him. Quartermain is then pounced upon, and English steals his wheelchair. Putting on his seatbelt and driving away, the agents give chase, and Johnny really needs to come up with a plan. Stealing a helmet, his pursuers jump into their vehicle only to discover the wheelchair is just as fast as a car. Realizing he still needs to lose his tails, he uses the traffic to block their cars and escape. Pamela is not happy with that outcome, but English forces his way into an elevator by showing off his gun. Just as he thinks he's gotten away, he stops right in front of a frickin' army. As he moves slowly, the cars move slowly, and Johnny activates the speed mode. As they tell Johnny to pull over, he activates the fastest mode and puts some distance. Utilizing another feature of the wheelchair, he manages to escape for the time being. With nowhere else to go, Johnny scares the living shit out of Kate and tries explaining himself before passing out. Simon in the meantime heads to a vault and opens a box using the key. Revealing a vial, the scene cuts to a meeting with General Wong. The general agrees to pay the $500 million, and we move back to our boy wearing no pants. Kate has patched him up and she says she's been going over the security cameras in Mozambique, but something is amiss. The assassin immediately collapsed and died after the shooting, and upon further investigation, Kate realizes that Vortex drugged the man with a mind control drug. The CIA had ordered the removal of such a drug 5 years ago, and the agent in charge of its removal was the ex-agent in Hong Kong. Trying to thank her, Johnny makes a romantic dinner with Kate and wishes he had Simon's help. Like, honestly, I'm going to pause this for a second, but the level of stupidity of our man rivals that of Mr. Bean. Getting back to the topic at hand, Kate confesses she finds Johnny clinically fascinating, and the two both go in for a kiss. Sadly for our boy, he doesn't get lucky and must hide in the bedroom when someone rings the doorbell. It is none other than Simon who is taking Kate with him to the meeting between UK and China and Switzerland. Johnny remains hidden until the two leave and looks out the window, only to finally realize it was Simon in Mozambique. Hearing a vacuum nearby, English goes to have a look to find the killer cleaner there. The bitch uses a frickin' chainsaw to get to Johnny, and he needs to find a way out. Finding the worst possible escape method, he saves himself for the time being and gaps it. Johnny has no other options left now and makes his way to Tucker's house. However, he is met with a mad lecture and then both apologizes and asks for Tucker's help. The duo, now wanted, go straight to the Rolls-Royce and ask it to break itself free. With their location being Switzerland, they hit every speed camera along the route and arrive at their destination. Using binoculars to see where the meeting is being held, the two grab the necessary gear and begin their infiltration. Sneaking past the guards, they shoot a grappling hook, and as usual, Johnny doesn't understand the items he's using and alerts the frickin' fish in the sea to his location.
Agent in distress.
With the base being alerted of an intruder, the duo know there is no other chance but to fake Johnny's death and take him inside the base. The plan works well, and all the security fall for it. Once in the cable car, which is the only way in or out of the base, Simon watches the cameras and tells Slater to poison Pamela's drink. What Simon hasn't planned on, though, is that our two agents have successfully arrived on the base and are free. Simon and Slater watch in excitement as Pamela is about to drink the drug, but Johnny, still in his body bag, turns up in Pamela's room and shocks her. She throws items at him only for Simon to quickly rush into the room. Johnny holds his gun at him and explains everything to Pamela.
Here to give you some tamoxibubby. That will make you obey his every command. How exactly were you going to administer it?
Tamoxilin barbibutanol.
Our fucking idiot begins bugging out, and Simon confesses that he is the third member of Vortex. With the drug finally kicking into action, Johnny knocks out Pamela and will now be the substitute assassin. In the meeting room where Premier Ping will speak to the Prime Minister, Simon enters and tells Kate that Johnny was cleared and is going to be the replacement for Pamela. Tucker, however, falls for a woman just like Johnny Boy did in Mozambique. English, in the meantime, is being controlled by Simon and does his bidding. Being the translator in the room for the Prime Minister, Tucker manages to outsmart the woman and steal her gun. Simon then instructs Johnny to move to the glass and take out his lipstick. With Pamela supposed to be the killer, Simon couldn't change the plan in time and Johnny applies it. He is then told to pull out the barrel and kill Premier Ping. Kate realizes exactly what's going on. And as Johnny is about to kill the Prime Minister and Premier, Johnny's training in the mountains proves to be useful and he fights back. With his arms and body not working properly, English has 50 seconds before he dies, and Tucker removes the communication system and plays some music. Simon's voice is then put on the speaker and everyone hears him command Johnny to kill Ping. English manages to move the gun away but tragically falls to the ground. Simon makes a run for it and Slater is arrested. Pamela and all the agents there watch as Johnny's heart rate drops lower and lower until his heart flatlines. Dying for the cause, Kate gives our boy a kiss and he comes back to life. Pamela watches and Johnny's heart rate begins exploding, if you know what I mean. All that's left now is to find Simon and lock him away for good. Making his move, Johnny puts on a parachute and jumps off the frickin' building. Guiding himself, English actually does a superb landing and puts himself on a snowmobile. Pumping it through the terrain, he does one crazy stunt and almost dies whilst doing it. Successfully holding onto the bottom of the cable car, he makes his way onto the top, then inside. He and Simon fight each other, and Johnny has a new look about him. Problematically, he gets stuck and is in Simon's kicking distance. Freeing himself, Johnny returns the favor and holds Simon at gunpoint. Stupidly, as he gives his heroic speech, he accidentally falls out the cable car and into the snow below. Simon stops the car from moving and shoots at English.
Stupid thing!
With the threat finally neutralized, Johnny rests and the scene cuts to the Prime Minister, delighted with the outcome. China is also happy with both Britain as well as MI7. The Queen then comes to reinstate Johnny's knighthood. As she goes to do it, the killer cleaner reveals herself. In quite a clever disguise, the assassin runs and Johnny gives chase and tackles her.
Pegasus! It's the killer cleaner! Over!
Johnny English strikes again, opens up at the MI7 headquarters in London when all systems begin malfunctioning due to a major security breach. The new Prime Minister is awakened and told of a major cyber hack in which all agents and their identities have been exposed.
We don't have any agents left.
So bring back an old one.
As usual, the world cannot bear to deal with the difficulties of the world without good old Johnny Boy. Sneaking his way through the forest, he catches a kid and tells him well done. Telling all the kids it's time to go back to school, it would appear that Mr. English is a schoolteacher. However, he is everything but normal. He teaches them all the way of a spy, and the students absolutely love him. Once class is finished for the day, Johnny notices a mail from MI7, instructing him to meet at their office immediately. The new Pegasus is told by his receptionist, Leslie, that only 4 members could return from retirement. With all of them re-signing the Official Secrets Act, one of the veterans shows off his explosive pen that has a detonation timer when the lid is removed. Passing it over to Johnny, the idiot takes off the lid and it ends up in the tea. English leaves the room to take out the explosive, but as the drink is hot, he ends up tossing the bomb back into the room of veterans and just slams the door shut.
Sorry to keep you. Are the others here? Oh.
They nodded off.
And who are you exactly?
Johnny English.
Pegasus asks if there is anything Johnny needs, and after naming gadgets that don't even exist, he demands that one of his former teammates join him. It would appear that Boff will be joining them in this mission, and Johnny is handed the standard issue spy gear. Boff then tells Pegasus that since they're targeting a hacker, it would be wise to use the least amount of technology possible.
Is there anything else I can get you?
Gun?
Don't really do guns.
Get him a gun.
Right. It is my obligation under Section 40 can cause injury and bodily harm. That traces of castor oil.
This car's a relic.
Making it completely invisible to a digital enemy. That high-tech villain of yours will never see us coming.
Let's see what they've given us.
Giving them quite a bit of gadgets, including super high-release energy pills. They are also given sleeping pills. I can already suspect what our Grade 1 stooge is going to do with those pills. As the cyber attack came from the south of France, that's where the duo will be heading. Pumping the Aston Martin on both highways and country roads, they end up at Hotel Magnifique. Pulling up in frickin' style, they get a fax from headquarters which has background-checked all guests with access to the Wi-Fi network. Sebastian is a name that raises suspicion as he was ex-army and military intelligence. It would seem likely that he is selling the intel to the highest bidder. With the duo needing to get close to their target, they dress up as waiters and plan to steal the man's phone. With both of them having absolutely horrific French accents, Johnny almost gets caught and stops midway. Eventually, English steals the suspected culprit's phone, but when it starts ringing, Johnny acts like he picked it up from the ground. Being told by a couple to peel the shell of their lobster, Johnny has no idea how to do it, and oh my god is he stupid. Being told to cook, he makes a spectacle for the audience. However, he goes overboard, and man do I just want to skip the cringe. Boff does manage to steal the phone in the distraction, and with the mission complete the duo leave, but not before Johnny accidentally causes a fire. Looking through the man's photos, they come to the realization that someone on a passing yacht could have accessed the network. Behind them, the fire kicks to life and the scene cuts to London where the Prime Minister is watching a video about how algorithms will run the world. The man continues to say that algorithms and data need to be put to work and make second world countries better than first world countries. Introducing the new AI named Xander, the Prime Minister finds him sexy and wants him to work for her. Pegasus then enters the room and says another attack has occurred, this time air traffic control. Someone's rerouted every flight in Europe to Luton. The agents in the field in the meantime need to find the yacht, and so they give MI7 a call. Once night envelops the land, The duo find the yacht and Johnny prematurely activates the inflatable, causing them both to get squished.
Can you reach your door handle?
No, sir.
I'll try my side.
Eventually getting on the inflatable, they arrive at the yacht and plan on using magnetic boots to scale it undetected. Once they begin their ascent, they make a bit of mayhem in the kitchen but end up on the top. However, they are spotted and a gorgeous woman then asks for their names, but when they don't answer, they are locked inside a room. Johnny then pulls out an explosive cotton bud and blows the door clean off.
Locate the hold and look for the source of that signal.
And look for the source of that signal!
Going one level down, they find electronics all over the spot and believe to have found their culprits. Activating their location transmitter, this yacht will be shown up as a hostile within 30,000 feet. Taking out the security, the two run towards their inflatable.
If you'd wanted to kill me, you would have already done so.
Till we meet again.
The next day, the two agents watch the boat from a distance. Boff begins some small talk and even mentions how he's a married man. Somehow he married the captain of a nuclear submarine and Johnny is in disbelief. The woman from earlier comes to shore and it's time the duo follow her. Revving the car and tailing her, she calls someone and tells them the agents have taken the bait. Her electric car proves to be quite the adversary, and Johnny gets stuck behind a group of cyclists. Johnny tells Boff to activate the missiles and scares the shit out of all the drivers to get off the road. Chasing down their adversary, the idiots have forgotten to put gas or petrol or whatever you want to call it.
Impressive driving, Mr.
Basil Golightly.
Ophelia Bulletova.
And this is...
Colin.
I thought we were using fake names.
That is a fake name.
Well, over a drink, perhaps?
That'd be lovely.
8 o'clock?
It's a date.
Back in London, the Prime Minister is alerted to another attack, turning all the cameras in London to red. The billionaire, Jason Volta, then arrives upon the Prime Minister's request. Complaining about the traffic, he hacks into the traffic control center and sees that they are being hacked and offers a solution. Reroute all servers' requests to his server farm in Nevada. Once done, the traffic is fixed in an instant, and we move to Hotel de Paris. There, Boff is forced to push the car, and once inside, Ophelia is seen by herself. Boff offers to search her room while Johnny keeps the woman distracted. The two sit down with one another and English decides to flirt.
And I'll have a London Lemming, Armagnac, sherry, a little bit of Parmesan.
English then asks what brings Ophelia to this region. She says she's with a friend and Johnny as usual makes a fool of himself. However, the date goes perfect and when she leaves, Boff arrives and says he found 3 different passports as well as guns and ammunition in her room. Johnny Boy is being a bit protective and makes excuses for her regardless of what they've found. Ophelia, meanwhile, asks her contacts about Johnny and he is in no database whatsoever. Nonetheless, Moscow has contacted them and want Johnny terminated immediately. That night, Johnny can't get much sleep and neither can Ophelia. She places a silencer on her gun and Johnny wants to take the sleeping pill but takes the wrong one. Ophelia, now inside Johnny's apartment, has no idea she's dealing with a jacked up, pumped up Johnny who heads to the dance floor. With energy buzzing out of his mind, he spots Ophelia and begins dancing himself, partying like it's the 90s. Ophelia can't target English, who is moving too quick. She decides to go join him for a dance and all her attempts at assassination don't work and she is accidentally knocked out. The next morning, Johnny is the last man partying, and Boff arrives to tell him the yacht is owned by billionaire Jason Volta. Knowing exactly what needs to be done, Johnny literally goes flying on the streets and still has energy beaming out of his body. Once again, another cyber attack hits the train lines and English arrives back on base. He looks worse than Conor McGregor and falls asleep mid-conversation, with Pegasus being told that Volta is the culprit behind all these attacks. They would need hard evidence to bring him in. With MI7 building a virtual reality room of Jason Volta's estate, Johnny wants to give it a go. With the nerd and Boff going to find the safety contracts to sign, Johnny decides to put on the headset and begins his tour. The moron deactivated the walking pad beneath him though and goes for a stroll around the base and ends up on the street. Finding the threat in the virtual world, Johnny attacks a random innocent before boarding an elevator. Knocking out strangers, the fucking idiot begins crawling on the road and into a restaurant. Everyone watches him just walk around the room, and he stupidly decides to push a granny towards the road, attacking the worker of the restaurant. He continues his mayhem outside and ends up on a bus. Squaring off against the tour guide, he attacks him and shoe-whacks him. He's lucky Pegasus doesn't spot him, and Johnny somehow ends up back at the facility and back in the control room. When the two return, English says he's completed it and leaves unaware of the problems he's caused outside. The Prime Minister in the meantime is having a hologram meeting with Jason. Being asked to help with Britain's security, Jason agrees as long as he can store all their data on his servers. The Prime Minister agrees and wants to announce this at the G12 meeting to boost her popularity. However, Johnny has arrived at the mansion and will now begin infiltration. Going through the house exactly like the simulation, he runs into Ophelia. English tells her she has entered a world no woman should enter. This doesn't sit well for Ophelia, who aims her pistol at Johnny and confesses she's been working this operation for 2 years and English is about to ruin it all. They both agree on a short-term partnership and follow Jason into his living room. Johnny takes Ophelia's phone off her and gets conclusive evidence that Jason is the hacker. The idiot plays some music accidentally and Ophelia acts like she's stopping him. Jason then scans Johnny and is told that he is a geography teacher. Realizing he is most likely working for MI7, Johnny threatens him.
I have a team of crack operatives out there right now.
What has happened to this country? Quarter of the globe. It's relying on someone like you.
Stealing the phone and making a run for it, English needs to escape right now or he's in trouble. Outsmarting his opponents, he finds a learner car on the road and forces the woman on her test to drive. Apparently there's an accelerator and drive in these test cars. Didn't know they come with accelerators, but anyways, Johnny removes the woman's glasses and she immediately drives like a pro. Johnny drops the phone on the ground and doesn't notice. Soon enough, he escapes the current danger he's in and heads straight to Pegasus but picks up the wrong phone. In the room with both Pegasus and the Prime Minister, he claims that Jason is behind the cyber attacks and goes to show the proof. The stooge didn't realize that he has the wrong phone and completely makes a disaster of the evidence.
Can I just ask, what is wrong with you?
Telling Johnny off in his stupidity, she goes on and on before eventually firing him as well as Boff. With his spy days coming to an end once again, his car doesn't start and the rain comes from the sky. Boff rushes up to Johnny and tells him that he has a plan, his wife. With his wife currently heading to Scotland, the two men board the submarine and are introduced to Lydia. She gives them a free ride to the G12 summit, and it's time for the rogue operation to start. Johnny's plan is a simple one. Go into Jason's bedroom and take him out. Wearing a suit that apparently increases the human's body 100 times, the machine activates and Johnny turns into the Black Panther. Maybe next in line to the throne, a scene cuts to Jason being told once the agreement is done, the servers aboard the yacht will have data of all the G12 countries. It is then that Jason reveals he already knows that Ophelia is Russian intelligence and removed her firing pin. Jason takes out a plastic gun and as he's about to kill Ophelia, Johnny comes to the rescue. Our knight in shining armor accidentally gets latched onto a hook and you can see what he does for yourself. Ophelia quickly overpowers Jason and makes a run for it. Boff soon reunites with Johnny, and together they watch the G12 members arrive. Deciding to act Scottish, Johnny casually slips into the house unnoticed. With a couple guards noticing, Johnny needs to hide just as the summit is about to start. The guards don't notice the master of camouflage and the summit begins. Boff makes his way upstairs and now time is of the essence. The Prime Minister signs the server and data writes away, and the AI tells Jason it is awaiting his command before attacking. Ophelia finds the two retired agents upstairs and tries helping Johnny out of the armor. Downstairs, meanwhile, Jason talks that bullshit billionaire talk when he is interrupted by Mr. English in shining armor. The idiot moron donkey and every other stupid name slips and literally takes himself out of the equation. Continuing the talk, the Prime Minister speaks and is told to keep her mouth shut. Jason's goons lock down the building and take out security. Jason then says that he now has access to a junction box which connects the World Wide Web. Now having the power to literally turn off the internet, Johnny asks to use Ophelia's phone once again. With society currently in the mercy of Jason, his attack commences and the junction box is being taken over. Electricity all over Europe is shut off and Jason will only return it if they all sign over their control. With Johnny being told that phones can interfere with the submarine, Johnny accidentally connects himself and enters the launch codes of the missile. As they both simultaneously call Pegasus's office, the receptionist answers the phone and tells them both to hold. Lydia thinks she's speaking to Pegasus and asks if they have his permission. Johnny just says they need to attack, and the submarine launches a frickin' missile. However, the missile redirects onto the nearest hostile target which Johnny made sure of previously.
The cyber attack has been halted.
Make a call quite close to the submarine, sir, because... What? You did it, sir. Mission accomplished.
Well, exactly.
Helicopter!
No, boss.
This one's mine.
Not so fast, Volta. Worry, he's only got 6 bullets in that thing.
You've run out of options, Volta.
Rerouting the attack to our Nevada servers.
Goodbye, Internet.
If we can hack into its operating system...
Jason.
Well, ladies and gents, the man who saved us all has presented us with a different kind of vision. Courage under fire, dignity.
After such a beautiful success, Johnny returns back to his school as an important guest speaker, with everyone cheering him on. The headmaster says the governor and staff are all inside. Johnny tells him that he'd like to see his former students first and enters the classroom to find them all using camouflage to perfection. Gathering the kids around, he shows off his spy gadgets and hands them out to the students. The headmaster then does a Johnny English and eats an explosive jelly, with the movie coming to an end. If you have any recaps you'd like me to do or at least have a look at, share them in the comments down below, and as always, stay awesome and take care.